Before you go to college and start reading self-help book, do this one thing. I've been in the educational system for 15 years now, and for the past 8 years, I've read all of the known self-help book to only realize that it all comes down to these 3 principles. I promise after this video, you will have a clear idea about how to balance between college and also striving to become the best version of yourself with the knowledge that comes from all of these books. But I will do it in a certain way. First, I'm going to give you the story. I'm going to give you all of the turnarounds, points and lessons, and I'm going to give you a secret of mine. So it all started at some point when I was 14 years old, okay? At 14 years old, everything has changed in my life because I read this one book, which is Think and Grow Rich. It's my first book as a self-help book, and it talks about finance and how there is a rich dad and poor dad, and how is the difference between the two, where is the difference is not only in their network or their net worth, but also in their mindset. And it shows really how to start a business from scratch and how being a businessman is a mentality, right? It really explains the meaning of I'm not a businessman, I am a businessman. And that's really what it's all about. So this is what gave me all what I needed at the point to start what I want, do whatever I think I should be doing, and at the same time start in college, right? Because just after that 1 or 2 years, I had the best year in my educational system. So it all comes down to this one thing that I just told you, which is how to balance between the two, because people think that they have to choose one of the two. So whether I choose to pursue my dreams and become the best version of myself and read all the self-help book, etc., or go to college and stay in the educational system. In fact, you can do them both. And this is an idea actually first portrayed in almost every startup that is working right now in the past 20 years of history. Okay, so the past 20 years of history, every startup that became a $1 billion company goes through the same stage. What is this stage? Let's take Facebook as an example. Facebook, founded by who? Mark Zuckerberg. Okay, let's go back. When did he found it? He found it while being in college. Most people say that Mark Zuckerberg is a college dropout. He's a college dropout. No. He founded Facebook. Then he dropped out of college. It's not the other way around. And the same thing goes with Elon Musk. People will be like, Elon Musk didn't have a degree, and yet he has the best rocket company in the world, SpaceX. No, it does not work like that, okay? He stayed in college, he finished in college, and while being in college, in fact, and you can even fact check this in his book, biography, Elon Musk, right? There is 1,300 pages that you can read all talking about this, is that in that period, he started his biggest company, X. It's not X that you know right now, Twitter. It's X that is known right now as PayPal. And he had a vision that he's now continuing with X when you see and you read between the lines. But the main idea is he was staying in college at the same time. He was becoming Elon Musk that everyone knows. So if we delete everything and we just make one principle that you have to follow with being in college and pursuing your dreams, doing everything that you need to become the best version of yourself, from reading self-help books, doing whatever you want, pursue your dreams, whatever it is, right? Start the startup, whatever it is, stay in college and do it. Now, I'm going to give you the secrets. Okay, now we built the foundation. We understand that you don't have to choose one or another. You can do both. Okay, and this is even portrayed in the 4-hour work week. He talks about this all in depth. He says most people think that they just have to choose one thing, while they just don't believe that they can do both. In fact, they can. Okay, this is important and this is interesting, but let's say you now comprehend, I understand I don't have to drop out of college and I can pursue my dreams at the same time. Tell me how I can do it. Now, I'm going to tell you, and I think the most important one here is a quote from Unexpected Quote Man, who is Speed, I Show Speed, who is right now the biggest streamer in the world. I just popped up. I got this clip of him just popped up and it was like, this is sick. He said, of course, out of character, he said, look, everyone and every time someone tells me that there is no way, I tell him there is a way. They tell me there is no way. I tell them there is a way. When they told me there is no way, I told them there is a way. I just need to find it. Once you see the biggest streamer in the world, he's not too far ahead. We're not talking about Elon Musk being 50 years, dude, right? So it's like 30 years from when he was broke, telling you an advice. Now we're seeing Speed. It's like few years. So maybe you should take his advice, especially that this is a clip that is an old clip. It's not something that is new. And look, one of the most important things, and this is an advice that came from a billionaire to his assistant. He told her, look, she asked him, what is the biggest advice that you can give me as a billionaire? Tell it to me. You know what he said? He said, don't take advices from people that are way ahead of you. Take advices from people that are 1 to 2 steps ahead of you. So instead of going to the biggest hit in the world, the richest man, Charlie Arnold, you're going to him and you're like, what is the secret, dude? Even if he do give you the secret, it will be he's so detached from where you are. The problems you're having are so completely different from the problems he's having. So if you want something practical, as the billionaire said, you have to take it from someone who is 1 to 2 steps ahead of you. Look at it. What do you want to become? Whatever it is. Let's say you want to become a gym owner, okay? So instead of going to the biggest gym owner in the world, let's say Gymshark, right? The guy who founded Gymshark, or Alex Hormozi, hearing from his advice, look, that would be awesome. But what will be better is looking for someone who's just 1 step ahead of you. So if you didn't found the gym, you can go to someone who just founded a gym and you're like, dude, how did you do it? Look for 10 people, 50 people. You will get a clear idea about how to start the gym. You have a gym. Now you want to make it bigger. You want to make it better. Upgrade your revenue, etc., etc. What you do, you go to someone who is just 1 to 2 steps ahead of you. Nothing crazy. You have a small gym, you go to someone who has a bigger gym. You have 50 people who has membership in your gym, you go to someone who has 70 people, 100 people. Not going to someone who has 50,000 people, because he's just too detached. He does not understand where you are. He just forgot, really, even if he passed through the same situation. So let's clear it out of the line. But I think even this is all bullshit if you don't do this one thing. If you want to be successful at anything in life, including being in college while pursuing your dreams, is having the right network. What do I mean by having the right network? Your network is your net worth for a reason. Once you see someone like Napoleon Hill, the writer of Think and Grow Rich, one of the greatest books of all time, that he spent 22 years, and they say that he was literally hired by the richest man in the world back then, who was Carnegie, to go research the richest man in the world, put all the information in one book to the public. And he put it all in one book, saying that one of the biggest essence is networking, and he calls it the Mastermind Alliance. What does this mean? Mastermind Alliance is literally having a group of people that every one of them has a specified knowledge. So this is important, okay? This is no BS advice. This is completely the basic of the book that he spent 22 years, right? He says you have to have people with you that have specified knowledge, where you meet as frequent as humanly possible. 2 times a week, 3 times a week, 2 times a day, 1 time a day, whatever it is possible. You meet and you go help each other. I give you my knowledge, you give me your knowledge. So if I'm going with X speed, I'm going to go with 2X speed. If you're going with Y speed, you're going to go with 2Y speed. That's if we're 2. If we're 3, 4, 10, 60 people, then the speed will literally increase exponentially. People think that it's whether you win or lose. It's not like that. It's a win-win with networking. You win either way because the guy has specified knowledge. He's an expert in something. You are an expert in something. And all of you are experts in something. You know what does that mean? Literally, nobody can compete with you. Look, I know a lot of people don't like books. I comprehend. I don't believe someone who is named Napoleon Hill who spent 22 years writing this book. Okay, sure. I'm gonna give you other one. Steve Jobs, right? Apple. Everything is Apple nowadays. What does it mean? What did he said in his conference about 20 years ago, bro? Dude, I'm saying bro now. 20 years ago, Steve Jobs said something that changed the literal history of entrepreneurship. He said, the role of a founder is literally to network with the right people. To build the right company or a startup, you don't need 100 people. You need 10 people that have specified knowledge in one thing, that are the best in that one thing, and they have a good knowledge about the latest of technology so they can use it. So you don't have to tell them and train them about anything and everything, but you just need to give them the task and they will do it. And Elon Musk has approved this thought. And actually, he has retweeted it just a few days ago on his Twitter account. So now we understand that it's all about networking, but we need practical. What is an example? What is a story that portrays all of this? I'm going to give you 2 stories. The first one, staying with Elon Musk. Elon Musk, one of the greatest story of his in his book, right? Once you start going through his story, you realize how he gives so much importance to networking. And this starts with SpaceX. When he was founding SpaceX, he took about 2 to 3 months. He called the X, right, at the time, which is PayPal right now, because they overthrown him. And he said, look, I'm going to take 3-4 months because I want to set my mind frame to the next thing that I'm going to build. They were like, sure, right? Because it was unexpected at the time, because there was some sort of Cold War happening. It was not cold, it was actually hot. If you read the story, it was crazy thing happening in the startup because they didn't want him to become the CEO. He wanted to become the CEO, and he was like, dude, if I'm not going to become the CEO, I'm going to become something else. Even in another interview, he said, if I stayed the CEO, he said, I understand that that's for the good of the company, but if I stayed the CEO, now it will be $1 trillion company. So it's more about him than the company. It's just a go-to mindset. Going back to what he said, okay? He took 3 to 4 months. Guess what's the first thing he did? Elon Musk, when he wanted to found SpaceX, the biggest rocket company in the world. You guessed it. He went and looked for the best guy that he can build rocket. It was a guy who literally was building rocket since his childhood. He understood everything, and he had a job with NASA. He was like, you know what? You're gonna become an employee of my company that I want to build. And there's the story that everyone knows. When they went to Russia, they didn't find the rocket. They went back. Elon Musk started reading a rocket, and he said that I want to build my own rocket. It was with that guy. And even later on, everyone was at SpaceX was one of those guys. All of them were experts at one thing. If this is not enough in his Twitter company, why did he fire 80% of the staff? Because he believes in this principle. He believes that the quality of the network is more important than the quality of the volume of people. And that's literally what Steve Jobs has said. Even, I'm going to give you an example of my story. So I've been doing YouTube for about 8 years now. 6 months of the entire 8 years literally gave me more results than the entire 7.5 years combined. What's the secret? I analyzed it time and time again, and trust me, analyzed everything. The finances, my mental state, everything you can think of. Everything, my habits, the people that I was talking to, where I was at, what I was consuming, what I was doing, everything. I found out this. If you want to get successful so much, you have to choose the network that you want so much, just like you're choosing your wife. In those 6 months, I found one guy, one person, that he was so good that he was the responsible for all of the results. I collaborated with him. Then after 6 months, he traveled. I found out that was the reason. We collaborated to make one of the greatest videos in the Moroccan history. It has 3.3 million views, and across all platforms, I can't even count how many millions of views. And just because of one networking that we did, it was me and him. And this, look, wraps up the principle of networking. Like, if I talk more, I can talk, but I won't, because there is more stuff to cover. If you want to be successful at college and yet pursue your dreams, become this biggest version, start with reading books, okay? Look, reading books is tricky because first you have to control yourself to not actually go to YouTube or to consume social media, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, so etc. Because it needs usually bigger attention span. And here's the way I did it. Because look, I stopped reading for about 1 or 2 years and it was not good. And here's how I found. So I analyzed myself for 30 years, tracking 18 metrics, all the habits included. And the number one habit that had a direct correlation between me being closer to the best version of myself and me going away from the best version of myself is reading books. When I was closest to the best version of myself, those months I was reading books consistently. When I was not reading, I was the furthest away from the best version of myself. Just once I took a look at that first analysis, I said I have to start reading books. Since that day, I never stopped reading books every single day. Actually, just in the next month, I read about 6 or 7 books because I just understood I don't need another reason. So take it based on my data. I'm literally giving you my data. That is probably the most precious resource that everyone can have. And that's why Alex Hormozi once asked, they said, what is the biggest lesson or best teacher that taught you so much? He said, it was data, it is data, it will be data. Make data your best friend. It makes so much sense. He literally grows businesses from $1 million and above. Probably he knows something. And because he said it was and it is and it will be, this means that no matter what is your stage, if you make $0, $1, $10 per month, or you make $1 million like him, probably, I have no clue how much money he makes, probably a few $1 million a month. So this makes all the sense, and for me it did, because that's when I understood. And this makes all the sense, but sometimes you have to do it yourself. So instead of taking it from me, of which I invite you to do so, okay, just take it from me, take my data, do it. If you need another reason, collect your own data. So if you had a period in your life that you have read a bunch of self-help books, hopefully it is in the past 30 months. Open a spreadsheet in Excel and type down all of the months. For me, I did it in trimesters, so it's less work, okay? And also it's very accurate because we have 30 months, okay? And track everything. Track when you read books, when you didn't read books, and track all of the other habits. So that is a bonus to become the best version of yourself. Track every habit. Everything that you think has an effect on you, being closer or further away from the best version of yourself, write it down. Okay, that being your social life, sports, your social media time consumption, if it is your sleep, your energy, your stress levels, your literally eat, your food, whatever it is. Okay, I put 18 things, then I made it 25, and now I am in the process of making it 18 again. 18 metrics tracked. So you put it every trimester, write down where you're doing it, where you're not. And some metrics you need to qualify, so it's more of 1 to 10, right? Let's say sleep quality, 1 to 10. Or sometimes you do, as an example, let's say your confidence level. So instead of doing it 1 to 10, or you do yes or no, you type high, medium, low, or something like that. You can do whatever metric it is. And just analyze that, or let AI analyze it for you and make decisions based on that. And look, if there is one thing that I did in the past year that has the highest ROI, it was collecting data, analyzing data, and making decisions based on the data. Because now it's not only that I have a clear vision about what I should do, I have more confidence in myself, because if anyone asks me, it's like, why are you doing this thing? I don't crumble answering. I just say, dude, I just analyzed 13 months of my life, and I realized that, well, whenever I do this thing, I am closer to the best version of myself. Every person I told him this, shut up immediately, because they know. You're like, dude, I don't want to get here with further in this conversation, because I'm gonna lose. And for me, I'm winning. And this also helps the people that suffers from a lot of people, especially if you're in college, criticizing you. They're like, oh dude, you're Iman Gadzhi wanna be, you're Alex Hormozi wanna be, you're Rich wanna be, whatever it is, okay? And you're like, dude, it's just not that. But now when you have the data, you're like, dude, I just look at the data, I analyzed 13 months of my life, and I analyzed it and made decisions based on it. And I realized whenever I do this thing, I'm closer to the best version of myself. When I don't do it, I'm further away from the best version of myself. So that's why, obviously, I'm gonna do it, and I don't give a fuck about what you think. And then he's like, oh, dude, just chill. No, I'm not gonna chill, because that's literally what I put all the time in. And this, look, expect this conversation to happen here and there. If you want to be in college and still pursue your dreams and, read self-help books, finance books, psychology books, sometimes you confront those situations. But the good thing is that the information you get from these books outweigh the cons that comes with it. And at the same time, sometimes you get the solutions in the book you're reading. And look, as I promised, what you have seen right now, I didn't gatekeep. Everything is proven by my data of 13 months. You can never unseen it. So subscribe.